Hi, everybody. Welcome back to RVAsec 2024. That's RVAsec 13 for insiders, 13th year. This time at the Marriott Richmond, June 4th to the 5th, 2024. My next guest, Mr. Nick Copi with nickcopi.site. Mr. Nick, welcome to the show, my friend.
Awesome. It's great to be here.
You're one of the speakers at RVAsec. You're going to be speaking about some assembly required weaponizing Chrome CVE-2023-2033 for RCE in Electron. Now, that's a lot to say. Boil that down for me in simple terms to tell me what you're talking about.
Yeah,
What's
so
that like?
it's going to be a talk focused around weaponizing a Chrome vulnerability from about a year and a few months ago that could hypothetically lead to remote code execution in Electron, which is software that uses Chrome under the hood. And going from some of the theoretical research published around how it might be possible to do this to a working weaponized exploit in a production version of Electron.
Now, whenever I hear the word weaponized, it catches my attention. It kind of raises the bar and makes it a little more serious. Now, Google, we got to love them. They've been doing a lot of great things in the world. They're really pretty good at this sort of thing. Is this a very unique vulnerability, unique to Chrome?
So there have been several Chrome vulnerabilities over the last year that have been critical and have required immediate patching. A lot of them have been questionable as far as how are you going to actually exploit this in a real Chrome instance. This one, people have done more research on, and so the focus of this talk is going from some bare bones research that allows for some primitives in some of the underlying stack of Chrome to go from being able to impact some Chrome internals to now I can pop a shell in a remote Chrome instance that's running my JavaScript.
Now, tell me about Nick Copi and nickcopi.site. Who are you? Give us your background.
Yeah, so I'm an AppSec engineer at CarMax by day. I do some independent security research by night. So the background on this talk is specifically, I was doing some bug bounty for a public program. I had a vulnerability that I wanted to use to show remote code execution in their desktop client app. And so to do that, I needed to weaponize a Chrome vulnerability for an old version of Chrome for remote code execution. So my background isn't really in browser exploitation, so this talk kind of covers my first work into this space. It's quite complex, and so I'm going into it more with just like a traditional exploitation mindset, and that kind of supposes the perspective of the talk.
Well, let's focus on the talk. Kind of boil that down for me. What specifically are you going to be talking about? Vulnerability, of course, is the topic, but I mean, is it how you got there, how you found it, that sort of thing?
Yeah, so it's kind of walking through the process of taking the theoretical published research around how you could get towards remote code execution, given what other research people have done around this vulnerability and just other Chrome vulnerabilities, and then taking a lot of the theory, trying to apply it, working around the issues we run into, and then modifying the exploit code to get it actually working on a real production Chrome instance, and then doing some clever tricks for writing much longer shellcode payloads and writing a whole shellcode stager to pull a stage 2 shell script that executes on the victim.
Now, tell me what part of this is novel and interesting. To me, it's all novel and interesting because I'm a neophyte, self-taught in this area. I had my first computer in 1984. We used to use DOS, used to frustrate the heck out of me. So I find this thing fascinating. But, for people that are more advanced than I am, what are they going to take out of this? It's kind of a unique view, I guess.
Yeah, so the most interesting pieces of this are definitely the writing a shellcode encoder that works around some turbofan optimization, which is a deep into the Chrome stack of stuff we're exploiting. I haven't seen any research around doing this. All of the research I've seen around this trick involves really short shellcode that's not actually practical. But once you start writing longer shellcode, you run into some realities. And so this talk kind of goes into working around those realities and making things work in real life and not in like hypothetical local debug test environments.
Nick,
And then just also the perspective of a non browser exploit developer working their way into that space. And that perspective, I think, is useful because there's a lot of people doing this that are so deeply entrenched in it that they say things and it's like, without a lot of domain knowledge, it's hard to understand. And so hopefully this talk will make sense to somebody that has just like a normal exploitation background that isn't browser specific, and kind of allow them to look into, wow, there's sure is a lot of stuff going on with browser exploitation.
Nick Copi, nickcopi.site. He's speaking at RVAsec 13. That's RVAsec 2024 at the Marriott Richmond, June 4th and 5th, 2024. Check him out, talking about weaponizing Chrome and one of their exploits. Nick, good talking to you, my friend. You know, I looked at nickcopi.site. A lot of good information there, everybody. Make sure you guys check that out. I'm not going to be able to meet you in person this year, unfortunately. I can't travel, but next year for sure, I hope we get to meet in person. Thanks, Nick.
Yeah, thank you. Awesome.